Wow, this was a great podcast with TJ Eisenhart. I've been following his art more than his road cycling from a few years back, or even really his involvement in gravel these days with Imaginary Collective. And we linked up through some conversations on NFTs and just me commenting on how amazing I think his paintings are. We talked about doing a podcast, we put one together, and I really enjoyed the energy that he brought to this. And we talk about everything from his entrepreneurial hustle in the art world to some funny stories of Wim Hof breathing, signing with BMC, his journey through road cycling. I'm really thankful that NFTs got splashed in this conversation towards the end, and just a lot of conversation about energy. I really enjoyed this, TJ, and thanks again for taking the time to do this. I cannot wait to come to Utah and get a ride in, and I'm not sure if I'm going to let him convince me to get on a mountain bike, but gravel bike for sure. Hope you guys enjoy this conversation. TJ, thank you. Stoked to get some Imaginary Collective gear coming soon. What's up, man?
Hey, Brandon. How's it going, man?
I'm great, TJ. How you doing?
Doing good. Great to meet you, man.
You too. I really
Glad we could finally link up, man.
For sure. Man, I really appreciate you doing this. I know you've got a million things going on, and it's been awesome to follow along. I really love how you chronicle not only your big picture journey, but the day-to-day. I think it's really inspiring to a lot of people.
Wow. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That's really kind of you to say.
Oh, man. No, but it's the truth. It's, we never got to race against each other. I raced against some of your teammates at Piedmont, a couple of the Southeast races, but it seemed like you were doing more of the bigger stage race things by then. And that was more like Grant, and when you guys had brought over some of the DNA guys back in the day. But man, so we'll start the official podcast, but I'm curious how you introduce yourself or how you describe yourself, because I knew you as this cyclist, right? Like, whoa, TJ Eisenhart, as most of us did. And then I'm like, oh, this guy also kind of posts art stuff, whatever. And then Taylor Phinney was doing art stuff. And then I started following more of your art. I'm like, damn, this dude's getting really freaking good. And it just watching you progress in your style and the detail and things are coming alive, and it's really awesome, man.
I really appreciate that. That means the world. I mean, I put a lot of work into it. Just once you learn how to do hard work, you can set that towards anything and be successful in it. Cause it's but the issue is most people they want success now, and they don't realize it's you're going to suck when you do anything. You gotta suck at the beginning. And then once you realize, okay, I'm going to suck, but if I keep doing this every day for 5-10 years, I'll be incredible. And most people don't think of that. It's crazy. Kids my age, I've started to notice they just don't have visions of the future. They don't aspire towards the future. They don't see the progress, and they don't see a vision of where they could take something if they put in the work, me, being raised from cycling and sports, you're used to knowing that you're going to suck when you start. And obviously, if you don't ride your bike for a year and then you jump on, you're going to be bad at it. But if you ride your bike every single day for 10 years, you're going to be pretty remarkable at it, and it's it's pretty obvious and simple to be good at something, but we just overcomplicate it. And most of the time we're just too afraid to accept the fact that, oh, I don't want to suck at something. But it's no, everyone, I mean, it's the greatest cliche and everything. It's they always say failure is your greatest teacher, and failing is the best thing for you. And everybody likes to say that, but then nobody likes to fail. And it's why? It doesn't matter. Nobody's paying. Nobody cares. At least you're doing it. That's all that matters.
It's the like you said, the cliche, it's the journey, not the destination.
Oh, totally.
Dude, we're gonna the podcast started before, because that was just an amazing.
That's okay. Yeah.
Well, wait. How do you think people should learn or accept which suck do you follow? There's some things we all
I just follow everything that I want to do. I don't put myself in a box. I don't. You ask how I guess describe myself, or, you know, when people ask, oh, what do you do? Or who are you? Or, you know, and it's like,
That's question number one. This is it. Introduce
it's
yourself.
like, yeah, that's the classic, you know, thing. But it's like, well, we might know, like, we just don't know who we are, you know, like, and that's the beauty, is we can always keep evolving and growing and being someone different and doing something different and taking on different identities. We can change our physical, we can change our mental, we can change our spiritual, like, you know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing to just be able to have that. And, you know, as soon as I kind of got rid of just like boundaries and lines and what people, because people always say like, I'm an artist, or I'm a cyclist, or I'm a doctor, or I'm a dentist, or I'm a this. And it's like, you're not. That's just something you do while you're here. You're not any of those things, you know? I mean, the most that, like, I don't even know what I am or what I want to become, you know, because it's like, I don't put a boundary on what I am. I don't know what I want to grow. All I focus on is getting the most creativity out of myself every day and every moment. And then things will start to like unfold in that way. Whereas if you put yourself in a box and you're like, no, I'm just a canvas painter, or I'm just a road cyclist, or I'm just a mountain biker, then that's all you're going to be stuck in. Whereas like, if you just open yourself up as a creative, then it's like you're working with shoe brands, or you're working with, while painting, and then you're doing sculpture and pottery, and you're doing, you know, anything you can imagine, and you're building furniture. And it's like, there's nothing like you can't not do. It's just like about accessing those certain like things and just being able to start it, you know. But we can do anything we want in this world, and I think we forget it all the time. Like, we are here for maybe a few times in a different, you know, in different lifetimes, who knows, like, we're here exactly for one time right now. We might have other lifetimes or whatever, I don't know, and I don't worry about that, because again, it's the great rule of, you know, living in the present, you know, not thinking about the future, not thinking about where I'm going to go when I die. I think thinking about where you're going to die, thinking about where you're going to go when you die is just not, it's just, what are you going to do with that information? You have to be dead to see it. So why are you thinking about something that's not even obtainable in this moment? And again, it's like, we always get so judgmental, like, well, I want to be good. I want to be a good person so I can get to heaven or not to hell. It's like, well, shouldn't you just be a good person so you can just be a good person? Like, why do you need rules of laws to tell you, if you be a good person, you're going to be blessed and be put into this, you know, heaven, or you're not going to be blessed? You should just be a good person. You shouldn't have to feel like, oh, I'm going to be nice, I'm going to talk to this stranger and be kind to this stranger because it'll get me kudos points from God and put me into a better place in heaven. It's like, get out of here. Just go be a nice person. Go be good. Like, we overcomplicate everything we do with, you know, laws and scriptures and this and that and this and that. And it's like, if all you could just realize, and it's the basis of every religion. And it's so funny how we skip it when everyone is talking about religion or anything towards spirituality. And it's, the first rule is to be a good person. In Christianity, they say, be like Christ. In Buddhism, they say, be like Buddha, like, which is basically just referencing, be a nice person. And I just think it's so funny how we just overcomplicate it. And like, we act as though like being a good person to people is like, you should be rewarded. You know what I mean? Like, oh,
well, it's two different things. It's, I'm going to be good so I get a reward later, or I'm going to be good so I have a positive effect on this person that I'm interacting with now. Which is, yeah. Are you into any formal religion?
No, I'm seriously, just the biggest religion is just smiling and giving love. Like, I grew up,
hashtag spread love.
Yeah, that's why I do that. But you know, I grew up super Mormon, in a Mormon family, and so you're able to learn a lot about love and giving and everything. But as I grew, I just realized, like, I didn't agree with every type of standard or every type of law or type of value that they put out. And as it should, like, I think everyone should, you know, have to find for themselves what they believe in and what they want to do. And for me, it's like, I don't care what type of religion you are, as long as you are kind. Like, that's because I mean, so many, I love meeting people. Like when I travel, I always travel, and I always have like these turquoise bracelets on. And I started that like 5 years ago when I was at a bike race, and people would ask me like, "Oh man, what are those? What is that necklace you have on, or the bracelets?" And I'm like, "Oh, it just reminds me to enjoy life and to be a good person," because the turquoise is the Navajo story behind the turquoise is that the cracks in the stones are representations of negative energy being ricocheted off you. So it's all about positive energy. And so I just started like giving out those bracelets. I don't mail them, I don't sell them, but I like when I meet a kind person, a total stranger, you take off the bracelet off your wrist and you give it to them, and it's crazy. Everyone's always just blown away. And it's something so small.
Yeah.
But it shows that like, wow, this person, you know, usually someone will do something kind, or there'll be a positive spirit, and you're like, "Hey man," or "Hey, may I give you this, you know, I want to give you this bracelet for being such a loving, positive spirit." And it makes everyone just go crazy, because then again, when they look at it, they're remembered of that, "Oh, this person gave me that bracelet because I was smiling, or because I just was happy," you know. And it wasn't about making money off it. Like, I didn't ever sell any of them, because I didn't want to, again, my message is to try to just get people to be kind. And it's like, I really just, again, it's so easy to be nice. It just blows my mind that we're really not, you know. It blows my mind that we're just so stuck in like just nonsense things, you know, where it's like, if we could just all be kind and love each other, we'd probably be living on Mars right now, from all of us putting our minds towards creative thinking, and all of us getting past, you know. It's just like, as for me, someone who's just a super lover, a creative, it just doesn't fathom to me that people are like still judge people and care about like race, religion, sexual orientation, or any. It's like, you really care if this person loves this person, or if this person's like, that is like the most pettiest, smallest thing. Like, really? Like, just, you like, why should it be your business too, who is like loving who, and who is like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
open your mind and just see that person as a human, as everyone is. Like, who someone loves is who someone loves. Like, the way I feel when I'm with a beautiful woman, or you feel that compassion and love, like, why wouldn't you want that for every single person to experience in some type of form or fashion, you know? Like, that type of happiness. Like, I just think it's,
you know, I think it's
ridiculous.
Easier for people they're having some own inner conflict or anger or angst, and they have to push that out on other people. And
it's in like, you. If you don't, if you're not comfortable with yourself, then you're not going to be comfortable with like anything around you. And it makes you, I see it all the time, because I'm a very comfortable person. Like, so nothing makes me feel uncomfortable, because if you're comfortable, you can just be yourself all the time. You know, you're not trying to put on a show, or you're not trying to impress anyone. You're not trying to, you know, you're just living your greatest life. And you see that all the time when people they're not confident in themselves, and they just like, they don't know what to do. Like,
you know, a guy named Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V.
Sounds familiar. Yeah, Gary V sounds familiar.
He's a big like social media guy, but
the NFT guy, right?
Yeah. I was just gonna say, if people don't know him right now, he's just super on NFTs, and like there's reason why. But his big message before has been like very much about finding happiness. Not
really.
Oh yeah, the best line I think he ever says is, "Stop buying shit to impress people you don't even like." And he's like, man, you know, it's like flexing and social this and social signaling and da-da-da-da. And why do you make 200,000 and you're miserable when you can make 80K and be so happy talking about bark sculptures or like, you know? And he's actually a huge proponent of why I ended up leaving medical device sales and started up this coaching business and started kind of doing more social media stuff and just following a love for cycling. Like, okay, I'm going to give it a go. And yeah, he was a super motivator, and just he can be an intense guy. So it's like sometimes hot or cold how people resonate with him, but the message overall is very much like, be nice to people, don't be a dick.
I mean,
so talking to you for like 5 minutes, I can instantly see, you know, I've read a bunch of different articles and things of like when you decide to leave road, and I know that bummed out a lot of roadies who were like, no, this dude is so good with the, and like you just made comments and things like, yeah, there wasn't a creative outlet aspect to that. And it all is kind of like clicking right now, just hearing your personality and so man, I have so many. So
it's clicked a lot, knowing, like, I was thinking about that last night, honestly. Like, I was just kicking it on the roof, and I just was thinking about like just meditating, and I just was thinking like, you think about that, and you're just so aware that my personality, it's too wild for that type of environment. Even if I had wanted my like as a young kid, that's what you wanted. I wasn't meant to be there. My personality it's too creative, and it's too wild, and it's too like it, that I understand that a professional atmosphere like that, you know, where it's like these pro teams, they don't want some guy coming in and standing up at a race and talking about suicide prevention. They don't want some kid talk with purple hair, you know, talking about spreading love. They don't want some kid. They want a person that's just going to put their head down, ride their bike, and not make noise, because in Europe, they don't like making noise. Like in America, we love making noise and stirring up and like using our voices and being very like proud and standing for what we believe in. That's our American culture. Like, it's why we have freedom of speech. It's why like we should be able to say what we want. We should be able to do what we want. We live in America, you know? And it's like, that's what I realized, like, oh, my personality and my brain is just not fit for one thing. I can't just be doing cycling. I tried that, and I got to such a deep, dark depression that it took all those years to kind of just slowly build myself back up to where I am now, where nobody, like then in my early 20s, I was a very sensitive, very thin shell character, because I was raised, and the way I was raised, I didn't feel like I was taking a lot of my own opinions, because I was raised in a religion. So you're just following. And then you start to kind of realize, like, you know what, I'm going to start making some of my own choices and see how they affect. And you start just doing it, and you start I started meditating, and you just start strengthening your mind. And
when just you start meditating,
about like 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So like right as like COVID hit, that's when I had just left the road cycling, and like none of the sponsors could pay me because of COVID at that point. So like all the contracts were pushed like till June. I didn't get paid till like August or something, or July that year. And so, and then my wife, you know, I had my ex-wife at that time, like, I think we just had our daughter. And so like my art, I was nervous about my art. And then like, I just was like always having these, like, I would feel like overwhelmed all the time. And I'd feel very anxious and stressed. And I would feel like my emotions would build until finally, and like you'd hold them in, you'd hold them. Because I wasn't a very vulnerable person at that time. And I'd hold them. And then you just explode, where you just would like let all that emotion out, and you'd feel very overwhelmed and like just wild. And at that time, my ex-wife was like, yo, we should go to this meditation class where they do the Wim Hof, like the cold water therapy, the breath work. And I was like, oh yeah, like, okay, like thinking it was a joke, like, okay, let's go do it. And then I did it, and there were like all these like 6-year-old women, dudes, like all doing this like breath work and then jumping into the ice cold like lake. And when we were doing the breath work, you know, you're holding your breath for like a couple minutes and you're like, wow, this is crazy. And then you get in the water. And when I got in the water, like my mentality was like, man, I'm going to outlast every single person here. Like, I'm a professional. I'm strong. My ego is the best. I'm the best. My ego is the best. I'm strong. Like, you just kept saying, you're so full of yourself because you're a professional and you've done this. But yeah, that's what I absolutely fell in love with it. Because as soon as I entered the water is an instant like humility. And the water, if your mind is not right and you're not humble, it will just take you, and your breath will get out of whack. You'll feel stressed. You'll feel that stress. And that's what it's all about. That water is meant to put your body into stress and like under those circumstances so that you can learn how to control that when you are in a stressful situation. And I remember like I got out, I was one of the first people to get out, and I look around and all these old women and men like in their 60s, 70s are just sitting and like humming chants and like mantras. Yes. And I'm just sitting there, and it just totally, I was so blessed because it totally wiped away my ego in one setting, because I was struck right there. Like, wow, here I was thinking I was a superstar, like, and I could barely last in that cold water. And like, I had this perception of like, oh, cold water makes you sick. Oh, this, like, we build up all these stereotypes when it's in our brain. Cold water is not going to make you sick. Cold water is just cold water. Your body controls what makes you sick. So if you have a calm mind, you have a strong mind, a calm body, everything is all connected, and you're communicating to it, you're going to be healthy and fine.
And have you heard about like there's like some Eastern group of monks, they can like change their body temperature, like the temperature of just their hand. They have some insane control that when you hear it, you're like, there's no way this is true. And then people go and like, no, this is true.
That game, they play a game, it's the coolest. And the monks, they act like what the game is they sit in the snow and see who can melt it the fastest.
That's crazy.
Like, crazy. And it's what you said. It's focusing on the heart breath, and it's like, it's very, you have to be careful when doing it, because you can like get very out of whack. Like it can release a lot, and like it releases a lot of emotion. Anytime you're doing deep, heavy breathing, you got to start off with it, and you got to grow with it, just like cycling.
Yes, dude.
I do it with the sauna and with the cold. And
tell me about the sauna, because
I have you get full on hallucinations, like DMT trips. You're focused on what you need to do to achieve, or you'll have something come to you and it'll be like, go to the coffee shop today, or go here, and some massive opportunity. Like, it's unreal how when I've just tapped into my spirit and my body and not worry about anything else, I'll just feel like, you know what, let's go to the pool today, let's go do this. And then I go, and you're meeting someone that, you know, then it's the owner of Lululemon, or is this, God, and you like, or you're like, yo, you know, it's like, and then you start learning. It was cool because when I first started meditating, then you start learning about a little bit of manifestation, and you're like, whoa, I can ask for anything I want. And just like a child, you do. And then just like a child, you get it. And then just like a child, you realize, this is not what I want. This is not what makes this doesn't make me happy. Yeah. And I started talking to the person that would like teach me how to meditate. And he was like, no, like the reason you're not happy is because you're asking for things rather than asking for it to make you happy. So I would be like, oh, I want to sign with this sponsor or this bike brand or this. And then you do, but then, you know, you want to sign with DMC, the best team in the world. And I did like, as a junior, I signed with the best team in the world, was living in Europe, was living quote unquote the dream. And it was yet a nightmare for me. You know, it just was like, I was so depressed. It wasn't my dream. It wasn't what was making me happy. And so that's the thing, is like, rather than asking for things in my meditation and manifestation now, I ask for creativity, opportunity, the meeting of wonderful people, the ability to spread love and meet, amazing, like that then opens up doors that, creates other opportunities. But when people ask for like things, that's when it gets dangerous. Money, toys, those things get dangerous.
There's a book about that, The Giving Tree, that is like a grade school book that like hit me.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, so do you feel like with the creativity thing that you mentioned, do you feel that was more of teams stifling that, or do you think that's just the road kind of old school culture in general, or maybe a combination of all of it? Because you did have a really interesting quote somewhere where you're like, hey, the thing I like about winning is that gives me a microphone and a platform to say some stuff. And so clearly, as that, you were getting thwarted a little bit in that. Do you think that's like, are we maybe in a, we saw like Palace Skateboards do something with EF, and I was like, oh, maybe there's going to be a splash of something, and that kind of like died.
You have no idea. It's funny, teams, like that idea of Palace Skateboards and everything, like, it's funny. Every idea I have, Rafa then comes out 2 years later, and it's because you realize you're on the same creative wavelength and you're not boxed in. It absolutely drives me crazy when like you'd be talking to these brands or whatever, these cycling brands, and all they're doing is paying attention to what's happening in cycling. And you're like, what are you doing? Why? And it's the same thing especially with like printing kits. I can't stand cycling's, like everyone is doing it. Like it's just blows me away that only this year is when people were finally doing clothing that is for everyone, and that's like Zara finally started doing athletic bike gear that was not cycling lycra gear. It was gear that's like this, like that you can wear, like, because guess what? Like, that's what I would tell all these brands. I would tell George at Hincappy, you can't, when I was with George on a team at Hincappy and I was exploding in the US at that time, like I was the most popular rider in the US, won all those races, like, was just had all those ideas. They came out before Rafa came out with the alternative program for gravel. That year I had told George, I said, George, this is what we should do. I was like, been doing some research on gravel. It's getting super popular. I was like, take 3 riders, get BMC to send us 3 mountain bikes and 3 gravel bikes. That way the whole team is not set up, and that way it doesn't cost a ton of money. You send those 3 riders, to the alternative races and do it and all that. You design fun jerseys off those races. And it was just like the 2 stuck in their own show, 2 stuck in their own ways. Like who do they still use to model Hincappy's sportswear clothing? George. Like what? Louis Vuitton, like Calvin Klein doesn't use, like, you know what I mean? Like they don't use themselves every time they use a catalog. Like you go out and you get like great model, you do new things, you do expressive things. And like, again, cycling is just, it's stayed the same. All they're doing is printing kits and doing that. And it's like, it was funny. I had my business partner, Andrew Dahlheim, who is with me with Imaginary Collective.
Yes.
And he lives in Greenville, and he was talking to Bobby Julich the other day. And Bobby was actually saying, like, asking about like how things are going and everything. And he told Andrew that they didn't actually even know how to handle me. Like they regret how they handled me because they didn't know how to handle me during this, when it's like, I was just there to try, like, they thought I was like trying to be extra and like be that, when it's like, no, I'm trying to bring this creativity to this program to make this bigger than what it is. And then when I was selling artwork, because I started selling my art when I was on the team with Hincappy, and instead of being like supportive and like being like, because in my contract, I actually put, I want to be able to have like a designer with Hincappy sportswear. So like, again, in my contracts, I was always smart by not just making it about the bike, but by making it like, hey, I want a part of this. I want to be designing 5, designs that will be able to sell. I would get 40% of that, but they didn't, obviously they're not going to do that. They didn't like, it's just that simple thing where that typical thing where people are afraid of change and afraid of you know, opening up, and especially when they found out like how much my art was selling for, and that I was making like sometimes more in a month than that some people get paid in a year, you know?
Sure.
And it was like, they didn't know how to control it, because then I even started feeling more free and started really feeling like, because then I had Spider, you know, the brand.
Mm-hmm.
So they're massive in Korea. Like,
you went over there, didn't you?
Yeah. So Spider hired me to design their cycling shoes. So I'm the designer of the original cycling shoes from Spider for like 2 years. And for 2 years, I was getting paid more to design shoes than I was to race for Georgia's team. So when your paycheck's bigger than your racing paycheck for your shoes, like, and that's what I was like, how am I the only pro cyclist that has this deal? And it's because I'm the only one that's smart enough or brave enough to be able to like not be afraid. It's like, how can you not, like, for example, Peter Sagan, yeah, he has his collection with Specialized. Peter Sagan's so bad. If he was so big, if he was smart enough, he would have started his own line of shoes years ago. Like when he was popping, he would have been like, you know what, Specialized, that's a nice fat check you're about to write me. But wait, I'm going to do what Shaq did. I'm going to create my own shoes, my own brand, and make 20 times what you're going to give me. Because guess what? Now that Peter Sagan's image is going down because he's not doing as well, you know, he's not as relevant. Guess what? The collections are going to get smaller and smaller. Same with Chris Froome. Are you kidding me? This guy's won so many races. And that's the issue with all these cyclists, is they're so naive to be like, no, man, all I care about is winning and doing the race. Like, you guys are stupid, and you guys are hurting our sport beyond belief, because you're not creating out like extra income like all the other sports stars are in every sport. Look at why is Jordan created the biggest, you know,
crazy
people. So why couldn't we do that with cycling shoes? Why couldn't we have done that with anything else in the sport where pro riders, like, you rarely hear about pro riders in cycling having kind of their own.
It's very interesting.
Flair.
It's a very interesting point that you bring up about this. And so number one, I think the first answer is it's work. And a lot of people, as much as cyclists want to say they're hard workers, a lot of them
lazy.
So there's that aspect. The entrepreneurial juices might not be flowing in them. But man, I don't want to bring up something negative, but I always thought it was interesting when, oh man, how many years ago, when the domestic scene here was really drying up. I can't remember which website put out the article about how unfortunate this is for so many cyclists. You know, guys are going to be out of jobs. Woe is me. What are they going to do? And I came from a sales background. Like, you're not selling stuff. Guess what? You're not making any money. And so these guys who are just Conti pros, there's a couple pro Conti guys in the mix, and everyone's complaining, bitching and moaning that the sponsors are gone. We're not getting paid. And I'm like, guess what? You're not good enough. You're not at the world tour level.
Yes.
Like, you're step it up, boys. Like, why you complain?
Everyone's a pro now. Everyone's a pro.
You're acting like you're supposed you deserve this contract. Like, this is called business. Money dries up sometimes. You need to pivot and hustle. And
that's what, as soon as, so this is crazy. And that's why, again, cycling, everyone's okay with letting people take advantage of them, because in cycling, they think it's cooler to be doing what you like. They think cycling has sickened everyone to think, like, because it's cool to do what you love, but cycling takes advantage of that. So they make, no, you should just be wanting to race for the love of it. Man, yeah, that's what gets me here. But guess what? I got a wife, you got a kid, you got a dog, you got a house, you got life to take care of. So guess what? I'm not 18 years old and that's the issue, is I started seeing when the domestic scene started going down. The reason is because, again, too many people, like, too many people in the market, you know what I mean? Like, and too many people saying they're pros by getting, as soon as they got a free bike or a bike 50% off from a brand, they instantly go on their Instagram and say, I'm a pro.
Oh,
like,
dude,
I haven't called myself a pro since I left, like, Kim Cappy, because then I was actually racing. as a pro and winning as a pro. And I was in Europe as a pro. And I was raised like these guys who talk about like, oh, I'm a pro. Man, you don't know what it's like. Like you didn't go over to Europe when you were 16, live there till you were like 25, by yourself in like a bad Belgium house and trying to figure, you know what I mean? It's like everyone thinks it's this dream, but it's like, don't talk to me about you're living you did it when you did it. You know what I mean? It's like that you need to put in that work, you need to put in that sacrifice. And also it's like you said, like you didn't make it to that top level. Like I didn't make it to that top level. You don't see me. I don't think about that at all during my life, because it's the same thing when I see all these ex-pros or all these riders, and all they do is post old photos of them racing. Oh man, throwback to this race, throwback. Stop throwbacking. Focus on your future. If you go to my Instagram,
Uncle Rico,
if you go to my Instagram, you won't see a single photo from the past if it's not from like a month or two ago. You know what I mean? Like unless it's a month or two. But you're not going to see a single photo of me saying, oh man, throwback to Tour of Utah. I miss, that. It's like, no, that was what I did in that moment. This is what I do in this moment. I'm now an artist. Like I don't go around telling girls like, yo, I'm a pro cyclist. Like they don't, that's in your past, if you're living in your past, you're exactly right. You're just an Uncle Rico.
Like, so what are you looking to get out of racing, and how does the imaginary collective and the art all intertwine? Because I know you guys are sponsoring youth cycling initiatives and high school mountain biking, and so how does like you kind of did a good segue of like, how does that all come together with your still, like, do you take racing serious? What is racing to you now? What is that?
So what's cool is when we started Imaginary back in 2019, it started, 2019, it started with me and my two best friends, Andrew Dahlheim and Taylor Phinney. And it was crazy. Like, so it started where in that January when we're at training camp, and I told Andrew, I was like, dude, we're not doing it right. This could be done so much better. Like, and I was trying to help the team at that time, Hincappy, signing, because like, again, with being a personality like I had all these connections with all these big brands like Spider and everything. And I would be trying to connect them to these sponsorships. But the issue is when I'd connect them to the sponsorships is they didn't want to ever sponsor the team, because George wouldn't allow a brand to sponsor the team unless they also sponsored George.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Dude, I have to bite my tongue.
So I don't
have a great relationship with those guys, so I gotta just.
I don't have a relationship at all, and trust me, man. When it comes to like, and again, it's just like anything we see on TV or whatever. We're just lied to our whole. Like when they talk about George, Lance, Floyd, and Tyler, and how people are viewed as the villain and the hero in those. Let me just tell you, it's flipped. Like I know everyone, and I know like I'm absolutely crazy best friends with Floyd and Tyler, and that's because like they are the purest of hearts and the kindest, and that's the reason is like good guys, man. You sometimes get taken advantage of real bad, and like, but when you meet those people, that's what I'm trying to say is like the world doesn't know how good Floyd and like Tyler are. Like they're the type of people that would do anything for you. They're the type of people that show up in a sweatshirt and just kick it. They're the type of people that are genuinely and smile at you and aren't looking at getting anything from you. When on the other side, when you're on top, they want everything from you, and then when you're at the bottom, they judge you off of everything you're doing because they think, oh, you're not doing it right then. So it's crazy. But so we started Imaginary Collective, and I was like, Andrew, like we gotta do something different next year. Like I got a baby coming, like I can't do this anymore. Like, and that year on the team, I had a 2-year contract for $60,000, and because the team had lied about having a sponsor for that second year to me, there wasn't actually a sponsor for that second year. They had lied to try to get another sponsor to sign on, like, oh yeah, we have, and then try to push them into the title role. when they didn't, that meant that everybody, that was the year that like it merged with Arapahoe. And so that was the year that every contract, like my contract, went from 60 grand to 20. And you had a contract.
Oh my God.
So that's technically not even legal, but because it is legal, because they didn't even have a sponsor, they didn't even have, so it's just built, it's all built on lies. That's what people don't get. Is like, I could go from being comfortable making 60 grand, taking care of my family, bike racing, and then all of a sudden it's sliced like that. And you realize that's why I went to January training camp and was like, no, I'm not having someone control my income anymore. Like, that's ridiculous. I won all those races and I did my job last year. And because you guys didn't do your job and pick up your slack and get a sponsor, I'm being punished by a lot. Like 40 grand. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. And it's not even 40 grand. It's from livable to non-livable. You can't live on 20 grand.
And it's just, you just lied to me. You just promised me a 2-year deal. So why? And the reason they promised me that 2-year deal is so I wouldn't sign with any other pro teams that were offering me better deals, like Israel Nation, Rally, all those brands. And so when I realized, like, okay, I can't let anybody control my destiny, I'm going to do that. And so I got Andrew, and then at Unbound that year, I was talking to Taylor because we're best friends. And I was like, yo, man, what are you planning on doing next year? Or no, he asked me, he's like, hey, what do you think that you're going to do next year? And I told him, I was like, man, if I had the capital, I'd be doing this. And he calls me up a week later after we did Unbound. And he's like, dude, I'm in. And I was like, no, no, man.
What?
Like, you get paid millions, you get paid a lot on your team. Like, so I instantly was like, whoa, if Taylor's willing to take that sacrifice, I can. So then I instantly just turned off my brain of like, you know what? I'm not going to sign with a team next year. I'm going to do my own thing, which was so scary because you're so used to being in that bubble your whole life of just getting a cycling job and figuring it out the next year, getting a cycling job. And so then I just kept it quiet, and I would just talk to sponsors quietly. And, I was always good at talking to brands, and I was always respectful to brands. And if I do work with a brand, I make sure it's a brand I believe in, so I can actually endorse it rather than be fake. And, it's just worked out where, me and Andrew, we've created our dream job where we do whatever we want. We work with whoever we want. And at first, when it started, it was more of a cycling project. And now it's just a brand. Now Imaginary is just a brand. And the name says it all, Imaginary Collective. It's to imagine new ideas, come together as a collective to create them and make them, possible. And to me, that name is just like, again, like, what's more exciting than that? Like, to imagine the unimaginable and come together with, whether it be Kuat or 100% or Monster or, any of these other brands or Physique, and being like, hey, let's do this. Let's do a pair of shoes that look like this. Hey, let's do a pair of sunglasses that do this,
That's almost like you're curating the best things that you guys like about.
It's basically Supreme. It's basically Supreme.
Yeah, I was just saying, like Saks Fifth Ave. You go to a department store because you want all the really good brands. I don't want to have to look through all of their catalogs. Show me 5 shirts.
Exactly. So like a big thing for us, and as we grow, it will basically be like a one-stop shop, like just like a Supreme. Like, and again, it's like my dream is like, even one day we collaborate with, maybe John Deere, or we collaborate with Dodge Ram. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be able to collaborate with absolutely everyone and creating projects that people are like, wow, this is so cool. This is a one-off piece. This is so rad. Like, again, I'm very inspired by, a lot of pop culture, designers or artists, and they're doing that exact same thing. And you realize as an artist, that's the coolest part, is you can actually work with everyone, because your art connects to everyone, like cycling only connects to certain people, but art can talk to a young child, to a 90-year-old person, to anyone, any religion. Any art can talk to everyone, and especially when you're doing it in a positive format, it can make everyone feel like the mural I just did down in downtown St. George. Is so amazing when I'd be working on it, and everyone in town would be coming up and checking it out, you know, whether it be 90 years old or 2 years old or 20 years old, and whether it be a girl or boy or whatever. And everyone would always have a smile on their face, like saying how much they love the colors, and they would just be inspired. And it really hit me when I was like, wow, art is so much more impactful than I even thought, you know? And it's like, it's amazing, you know?
Well, do you think cycling is part of your art? I think, because, you know, it's like this.
Oh, absolutely.
Said, yeah, you're not a cyclist. You're not an artist. These are things that you do. And I look at guys like ASAP Rocky, who's doing the collaborations he does. It's like, whoa, wait a minute.
Rocky.
The world is changing. You look at Pharrell, you see. And so I think.
I had an idea today. I was like, I want to do, because I just started doing my nails. And I was like, I had an idea because I saw Tyler, the Creator. He had just dropped his own nail polish line. And I was like, what? I didn't even think of it. You know, that's the beauty of not having a brand that's in a hole, is you can then think of anything and be like, wow, I didn't even think of that. We could do that, or I could do that, or, you know, and that's why I never will put a line or a border on it, or say like, oh, it's a cycling brand or a skate brand. It's no, when me and Andrew built it, we wanted to build something where everything we love to do, we could then put that into place, you know? So like, whether like it comes to all our merchandise we design too. For instance, like, show you a little sneak peek of our new merchandise we just got in. But like, we just got these sweet, you know, hiking boat hats. Like, they got the sun protector like in the back of, you know, where the flap comes down. Like things that, like, because I'm from the desert, so you actually use this hat every single day while being outside. Or Andrew, he goes out to the lake and boats all the time.
I was thinking lazy river life.
Lazy river, boating, fishing, hanging out, like going on a hike, going to the market on Saturday, like everything. We always are thinking of like ideas that aren't like, we don't need to do something that's trending. That's not us. We do things that we use and like, something that's we find cool and unique, and something that actually is like meaningful and practical, because we're all about like everything we use. Like our whole aesthetic line was from basically you can throw all our merchandise in a backpack and you will use it on a camping trip. Like, you know, and then we got
where can people find all this stuff? The
white dad hat come in, and then we did this one, you know, just more appealing. Like females prefer to wear more like dad style hats, because we had the flat brim hat, and we were just like, nah, like we need to do this one too, because I love the dad hat, and we were like, we need to also get more females wearing like our hats, you know.
Where do people find the hats and everything? Let's plug that.
Yeah, that's going to be up on our website, imaginarycollective.com.
Okay.
It's going to be up here very soon. We have Andrew, he's building us a brand new website. That'll be really cool. Sick. Where you can be part of this, the Imaginary Club, subscribe and get email blasts and everything like that with what's new. Because like I said, we're trying to take the brand into a really fun and creative area where we're going to be doing things like,
dude, you need to do an NFT projects.
We have it coming, man. We have it coming.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. It just like anything though I do is like, I don't like just doing doing it. Like I want it to be nice. I want it to have, you know, so it's like we have
Andrew, who got you into this? Because when I was like, yo, you need to turn these into NFTs, you're like, I don't know what that is. When
was that?
That was a long time. It was when I'm starting up another podcast.
February? That was like in February?
Yeah, it was back in the day. Or not back in the day. It was months ago, because I was when I started following your art, I'm doing another podcast with a friend of mine that's more evolved, like how we just flow through different aspects of life that change a lot of times. And I was like, dude, this guy is a cyclist. He's really more of an artist to me, that I'm gonna have to reach out to him, but it hasn't progressed long enough. And then as I more got into following you, I'm like, okay, dude, we just gotta get you on the cycling podcast, and like it's gonna be a different type of episode, because I'm not like, okay, TJ, telling me about your training program. But so at that point, I don't think you knew much about NFTs. So you're into it now.
I still don't. I mean,
Okay.
but that's the beauty, is you don't have to understand something to know that it's the future. You know what I mean? Like,
it's huge to create community.
I don't have to know this. I don't have to know how, an electric car works to understand that, oh, that's the future.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to understand, like, and I understand just enough on NFTs. It's just the fact of learning how to like work the technology and how you want to display it and how you want to.
Yeah.
And also, again, it's like life, it's funny, life, we have time and don't at the same time. And I think, though, when we do have time, it's important to, really curate it and make sure, you want to, at least for me, like I said, when I do something, I don't want people to be like, oh, that was a bad drop, or,
totally.
And then me being like, oh, it could have been thought out a little bit better. Or if I would have taken 6 more months to maybe hire someone different, or me learn something different, like we could have done it a little bit better. But definitely we have a lot of cool ideas about the imaginary and like NFT space where we'll be starting, like, again, more of like a club. So you'll be part of the imaginary club, and when you come out to all these events, there'll be a sweet space where you can be able to kick it with us all the time. Like, really, like, it's a club, so you're coming out there and it's an awesome atmosphere. It's unlike, again, I don't want to be like spreading all the ideas, but like a Coachella, basically, it'd be just awesome. So it's something, a feeling where it's not like you feel like you're in a bike club, but it's like a social club.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good way of looking at it. What's one question I was curious about? So it seems like you had made a comment of for your art. I know we've got just a few minutes left, but want to kind of hit on that, how you really immerse yourself, like right now on the piece you're working on, you're wanting to be around mountains, be feeling that. It seems like you have some current creatures, or like the spaceman, you have some like wildlife bears. You Make Me Smile seems to come up a few times. What inspires these, and do they, like, do you like these caricatures, like that could be an NFT thing, but like, really gets
my skeletons.
Yes.
My trippy, so, like, I got the trippy birds, the skeletons.
What creates these? When do you think, or is it just like you start painting and they just come up and you're like, dude, this is what I'm doing today?
Yeah. So funny story is, crazy story. I mean, my art, it's, people always ask like where your inspiration comes from, and I just say it's like it's everywhere. Like, I don't even know why people ask that. Like, inspiration is literally everywhere around us. Like, and and it's just it's like a game you can even play when you're by yourself. Just like find an object, look at it, and ask yourself, what's 5 things I like about this object, or something about this plant or whatever, and then 5 things I don't. And like, it's funny how you can look at anything and find something you don't like and do like about it. And like, that could be as simple as looking at a stick. So it's interesting that you could look at a stick or a rock and find things you like and don't like about it. So therefore you are inspired by it. You might see a curve in the way the branch moves that you're like, I really like that, or I like the way this bark is on that stick. You know what I mean? Like, so I find inspiration from literally everything. Like, even just recently where you see the airplane window, like, that's like, windows surround us everywhere. And that's like my latest series that I'm going to be doing is like windows. And it's all based, again, like window of opportunity, the window of, dreaming of your dream. Like, it's all, we all know what it's like to sit outside of a window and to dream and to aspire and to feel your feelings, and to put the music in and to feel a vibe while the plane is hovering above those clouds. And like, so for me, it was about connecting to, I'm now as an art, rather now than like, I used to try to just do subject matters. And now you realize you can go deeper and actually do connections and feelings. And so you realize, like, when someone looks at that painting of the window, of the airplane window, you feel that same feeling you feel on an airplane, but maybe you feel like you're in first class, because it's like a very positive feeling. And that's what, again, I'm trying to make you feel, is like, that painting is supposed to inspire us to keep always dreaming. Like, I want it hanging in your house, and every time you're sitting down and looking at it, you're reminded, oh, am I dreaming big enough? Am I living my greatest dreams? Is this dreamland for me? You know? And same with like the other paintings, like the skeleton or the more abstract Basquiat style of those skeletons. And then, like you said, the You Make Me Smile. The You Make Me Smile one was inspired by my daughter. And just like, then you think about that, like, oh, you make me smile. But then taking it farther and realizing, okay, when every person looks at this painting, I want them to ask, like, oh, who's saying I make them smile? You know what I mean? Like, who do I make smile? And that's what I want that person to look at, to feel, is like, do I smile? Do I make people happy? Am I making people happy, or who makes me happy? You know? And it's like, it's very fun and like very simple, but
I think it's a great thing though, because it's like when you can ask yourself, is anybody going to come to my funeral? Is anyone going to care? You know, it's
that's like, the thing. Like, as an artist, you're always meant to just think deeply and go into depth and think outside the box. And again, you can see with my art that I'm very fearless, and like, I don't have boundaries again, where it's like, I go from doing a very clean painting, you know, of maybe that airplane window, to then doing an abstract drawing with the skeleton, or then, like you said, doing one of my cool animals, or then doing one of my big athletic, you know, runners or cyclists or whatever. And again, it's like, you just got to stop putting yourself in a box and realize every day is a new day for your brain to open up. And there's different ways to tell different stories, you know. Just like a writer might write a novel or a poem or a short story, it's all writing, but it's to tell different stories. And that's, again, sometimes like you're able to get an emotion out more clear through the Basquiat style, or through, you know, a more tame style, or a more psychedelic style, or, you know what I mean? You can really do that. And now this year I've started to really just start telling more everyday like stories, because I found that like when I tell my everyday stories through these drawings, they might be normal or ordinary to me, but when you start drawing it out, like, again, you're the only one that knows the background of that story. So a normal person, when they're looking at it, they really get a high from when you tell them the background of that story. Like, oh yeah, I had taken this girl out and then we had coffee, and you're doing, you know, like it's just like so rad how you can take, you know, I just am so inspired now by everyone I hang out with, or people that's like, it'll be funny. Like, I'll go out with a girl, and then the next morning you're drawing like paintings or drawing like all inspired off of the vibe and atmosphere. And like same thing, you might do something else the next night, and like you take that and you roll with that. Or like you said, like I don't like to work on paintings if I'm not inspired in that format, you know, like if I'm meant to work on a mountain range painting, I better be in the mountains where I can ride my bike, be inside the mountains, ride the mountain bike trails, run into some moose, and be inspired by the mountains and feel that energy. Or else you're just being fake. Like you can see that too in my art, like the wintertime pieces, because I'm more in my desert, they're way more deserty and psychedelic-y and like rad colors. And then when I come up north more for the summer, it starts taming more into wildlife and more outdoor, you know what I mean? You start, or like I said, you just start learning as an artist to like just say tell these simple stories, you know, so it doesn't always have to be some grand painting. It can be something simple, but
that's awesome.
It's fun, man.
I've got one last question for you then.
Yeah.
So you had talked about being pushed at certain points in cycling where you almost feel like you're going to break, but it actually makes you stronger. Is there anything in the art world that has done this, or do you think that we can actually push ourselves or have mentors that break us down that allow us to come back stronger? Is this something that you try to seek out, or how has that changed? Because you've gone, I mean, it's kind of in the, maybe not the theme, but like just this trying to be in this A-type road cycling thing to then exploding into now an artist and gravel. And it's like, this transition, have you seen any like thing in this new, maybe it's not, I shouldn't say new phase, but a different maybe day to day that's like, man, this is really pressuring me, but it's going to make me better in the end?
Uh, uh, I mean, all of us go through like hard shit daily for sure. Like it's crazy. So the day I was hired for the mural, like in St. George, I was also hired for this big painting that I'm working on right now. And like, that was an amazing day for me. That one day, it was about like almost 40 grand of artwork sold in one day. And on that same day, my ex-wife came home and told me she was leaving me.
Oh,
Totally random, out of the blue. Like we never argued, never, like we were like, she was like loving my life at that time. Like it was awesome. So obviously I was extremely crushed. Like you go literally, and this was like in February.
wow.
So you go from being hired to do all this amazing, your art career felt like it just took off. And you were like, I had called Lifetime Grand Prix and I told them I was going to stop racing because I wanted to focus more on my family and my art. And then you get all that news saying, so like I said, I was depressed. I can laugh about it now because I've gone through it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was crazy. It was like you're right as she FaceTimed and told me, you just drop, you just fall through this ceiling and you're just falling and you're so lost. And I still remember it. But then all of a sudden you hit this like this detour, like it splits and you're just falling and it's splitting and you realize there's two things you can do. She's leaving you. There's two things you can do. You can be very upset, very negative, very resentful, very angry, just like the world says is okay. The world says, be upset. You have the right to be mad at her. You have the right to be angry. You have the right to be just bummed that this is happening. Let me tell you, you don't. Any act of negative energy is the same act of any negative violence. Any violence is negative. So it's not good. So as I'm falling down, you realize, wow, I've talked a lot my whole life about peace, love, positivity, loving, going through challenges, meditating, how meditation helps you through challenges. And as I come to this drop, I just go, and you realize like, this is exactly why I've been meditating. This is exactly why I've been talking about peace, love, and loving everyone. Because now I don't look like a hypocrite when I'm telling people to love. And it's true. It was like from that moment, it was only 5 minutes after she had told me. And when she had come over the next day or whatever, and then 8 days later, we had the paper signed and we were divorced. But it was like, I'm such a lover. And that I told her, I was like, hey, I love you so much that if this is how I just love you, then that's okay with me. And again, we also forget that it's like, our life is our life. So like, you have no right to tell someone else, even if they loved you for years and then they stop, you have no right to tell them that they have to stay with you and still love you, that they're going to be happier. You know what I mean? You have to respect everyone's decision. And I'm also not a guy who plays any games like at all in life at all. Like if somebody isn't vibing with me in any type of form or capacity, I don't hold on at all. Like you either vibe with me or you don't, because I'm moving. My train's always going. And so like, but it was crazy because I was just hired to do that, this 150-foot mural by 30-foot mural, like high mural for the city, for the Ironman World Championships. It was going to be right on Main Street. Millions of people are going to see this every year.
That's awesome, by the way.
Thank you. And it was really like, okay, I just got hired for this gig and just had this very depressing thing happen to me. I can't be in that state of mind. I can't even fake that state of mind because art is all about honesty and vulnerability. So if you're not honest and vulnerable with your project, you're going to create trash. And trust me, you do. Like when you're open and honest, that's when you create things that you don't even, that's what the best is. Because then you step away and you always say this, like, wow, I don't even know how I did that. And so I just put my music in when I started the mural. I thought about all the good, like just love, how grateful we really are for everything in life. And I just started, and like, again, yeah, it's a bummer she had left, but I look at what she gave me. She gave me the most incredible daughter. Like, I'm a dad because of her. I get to be like, and it just helps you wake up, because you realize, like, wow, I now only get to see my daughter every other week. So I'm definitely not going to ride my bike when I see her. We're like, you're spending all your time, you know, and I was already an amazing dad before, but you're even more, because you realize time is even limited. And like, I'm grateful for that challenge. Like, you were asking me what's a challenge that puts me in my place. It was that, you know, and it was like a hardship. And it's like, that's what you have to, that's how you create. And it was crazy when she told me, it was kind of almost like, I don't know, I want to say like selfish thought, but instantly my head and my heart went to like, whoa, I'm going to be creating some pretty phenomenal art here. Like, because you knew, like, it's weird as an artist to like, I don't know why, but it's maybe the cyclist thing and addiction, but that pain. And because you knew you'd come out, it's just like in cycling, you knew you'd come out of it way stronger. And you knew there's going to be emotions below there that you'd never opened. And it was true. Like, you can tell from my art from February how much more real, raw, authentic storytelling, like how much more honest it is, rather than before when it was more, you know, like just subject matter. So like,
dude,
I think
people
challenges in life challenges in life are the best thing we can be blessed with. And that's why I do the Wim Hof breath work, because the breathing puts you under stress. And that's why I do cold water. I try to do cold water daily, like whether I'm getting in a river, ice bath, or a cold shower. It's the best thing for your mind and body is the cold, because it instantly puts your body into shock and stress. So you got to calm it.
The breath work is crazy. The first time I started doing that, my body, I had to take off my clothes. My body was sweating and freaking out. And I was like,
vibration.
What the hell?
You feel that vibration through your skin.
It freaked me out. It's weird. Hey man, I appreciate you taking the time to do this. This was awesome.
Brendan, I'm blessed. This was a great podcast. I'm blessed. Dude. I haven't done one for a minute. So it's great to do. I haven't done one actually this year. So it's cool to do one this year where it's mainly about my art.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. What made you say, yeah? I was like, this guy doesn't know me. He's probably like, why the hell are you messaging me?
No, I respond. I miss a message here and there on accident, or if I saw it and then I accidentally read it and then forgot to respond. But I try, my whole thing is, if somebody sent you a message, you can send them a message back.
Totally. Like,
it's an energy thing. If someone took the time to write something to you like, hey, loved your post, I'm so inspired by it, thanks. You can take the energy to say, hey, thank you so much, appreciate the love. Amen. That's reciprocating energy. It's most people don't get that. They're like, no, I'm too busy, I don't respond. It's like, nah, man, I've responded to every single, like, if I showed you my messages, it's just like,
imagine. Yeah.
And it's funny, but that's the only reason I'm successful today, is because because I like to talk to people, and because I'm not afraid to communicate. It's funny how the people I've just, like, you know, they would send a simple emoji and you would respond back, and then a friendship would spark. That then it's like, you want to believe the friendships I have from just a simple me responding to a message, or I've ended up becoming friends with them, like meeting someone, and then they'll say to me, hey, you probably don't remember this, but I sent you this message and you responded back to me all these like messages. And they'll be like, you know, that's really cool that, like, you know, we thought you would just be like a normal cyclist and not like take the time. And then they end up meeting me and realizing, like, oh, you're cooler in person than you are. Like, you know, I don't put on an act, but like people think like, oh, TJ is just like always promoting peace, love, positivity. It's an act on Instagram. It's like, no, man, if you meet me in person, I'm even heavier. I'm heavier than like, I'm rare. It's honestly like, I'm sometimes not even like good with social media. It's just like, I'm more positive in person, you know?
Dude, I saw the spread love a long time ago and I was like, whatever. I try not to I have my own story. I try not to judge, whatever. And I was like, that's cool. And no doubt, I was like, maybe it's just an IG thing. And then the more I dug in, I'm like, all right, who is this cat? What up? What up? And like, just started watching more of your Instagram stories, see what this guy's doing like during the day. And I'm like, damn, maybe he actually is all about this. And so, yeah, man.
it's crazy because I've met like influencers or whatever when you go to like do sponsors photo shoots and you're excited because you're like, oh, this person seems way cool on social media, and then you meet them and you're like, yo, you're so rude, or like they're so rude to the camera crew, or they're so entitled and think because they have 50,000 followers or 30,000 followers that there's something. And it's like, you know, if the internet were to go away, all that would go away. So like,
dude, yeah,
are you comfortable with you?
Yeah. That's a great ending line. I know you got a bunch of other things going on.
No, dude, you're the best.
Dude, you're amazing. Keep up the awesome work on the artwork. I'll be...
if you're ever in town in St. George, hit me up. Let's go ride.
So isn't that where Lodija is?
That's in Logan.
Okay. So I have
St. George's, southern Utah.
Maybe. So I actually came out to Moab one time with my husband for his birthday. Was
that's southeast.
Bike. Okay.
Are
you by Zion? And
yep. Yeah. Okay. I live right in Zion.
Dude, we will be back to Utah, no doubt. I may be
bring your husband out there.
Bike.
I'll take you guys to all the coolest spots, the cool mountain bike spots, the cool restaurant. We're getting way cool restaurants now in St. George. The town is getting way cool, man.
So I will die if we mountain bike. We'll do like a gravel ride.
All right, we'll do a gravel. You just gotta we'll get you a proper mountain bike because you can't come to St. George.
Okay, you're gonna hear a lot of break. That's okay.
That's okay, dog. They're tame, man. But
we were in the woods here in upstate New York, and my buddy was like, "Dude, you're this Cat 1 roadie. You're gonna be awesome at mountain biking." And all I could hear from down the hill was him yelling, "Let's break." I'm like, super nervous not hitting the tree.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah. So more speed. Speed is your friend while mountain biking.
And yeah, that's what everybody says. I get
it.
Yeah. Well, let me know when the NFT drops. I'll be buying it unless you guys are like super bullish and like it's 1 ETH. Well, do you know what chain you're gonna do it on?
No, not sure yet. Honestly, are you very educated in it, or if you know someone
I wouldn't say.
In it?
So I have a bunch of NFTs. I've invested in some projects, like that guy Gary Vee has one.
Yeah, I have one NFT out. Not as it was just my It was just my NFT. It was of my dinosaur painting I did. It's way sweet. Yeah, it's on OpenSea. I need to find the link though to it.
Link on Instagram. And so you guys making like your own smart contract and everything?
For the NFT?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is.
So like when you post something on OpenSea, that's creating a smart contract. But a lot of people say when you do your own project, that's the number one thing on like a lot of these pockets is say, get a developer to make your own contract.
Really?
Otherwise, you're doing it under OpenSea basically, which you don't want to do. Like, even though that's the open marketplace, you don't want to own the contract.
See, this is again why you just don't go do something, because you get information, learn from people like yourself that then know more education about it.
Hit me up when you have questions about it. I've been looking into, because that's the thing. I post like, I'll take like a photo that I like, and we'll just for fun go edit it, and then I'm like, I'm gonna just post this as an NFT. But
we should talk, man. I'd love to tell you the ideas we have for Imaginary.
Totally. If I can help you in any way, would love to.
I think you dig them. I think it's a really cool idea just to connect the world, you know?
It's amazing, man, because our EVOQ, we've got like 450 people in a Discord that just like to talk about training and racing. And what you said about responding to messages, I would wake up and like, it'll be like 1 a.m. and there's like a chopped up, like, poor English. I'm like, what is it? Who's this email from? It's like a guy in Russia found our blog and da da da. And I'm like, yo, let's try and create this community, get all these different viewpoints. So we'll have a guy from like Finland posting what he's using for nutrition and da 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 da.
Heck yeah.
So it's
just awesome. Is that so EVOQ is your brand?
Yeah. So it's like evoke your best self.
I love that.
We started it just as I was leaving medical devices, was talking to my buddy. I'm like, hey, can coaching be a thing? Can we actually make enough money to live on it? And then we started looking at like, okay, well, I'm going to blog. So somebody in Washington State might find us, because at the time, me and my friend were both in Nashville. You can't coach everybody in that, you can't make enough money off just people in Nashville.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went full time with it back in 2019 and just been I really love the community aspect of, we put out a ton of free content. So like this is probably, I don't know how many, we don't do almost a daily podcast, but these interviews I do just because everybody has a story to tell that resonates with a different cyclist or a different point in their life. And, you know, I just think that, so yeah, I could talk about that forever, but I would love to talk to you about Imaginary Collective and just see what you guys are about doing.
I like that shirt you got. That
with thanks, the ducks man. On it. Sweet. So it's kind of like the Drake album
That's
cover.
what I was about to say. It's so sick.
It's this girl that I knew who had she races in Boston. I was like, yo, can you take the duck is another long story, but it's like a flock. And so I was like, yo, can you make this into a Drake cover? And she sent this back to me. And I was like, yo, we're making that on a t-shirt. I love that.
That's the coolest shirt, man. That's the coolest. Dude,
thank
man.
You.
I dig that.
So it's so yeah, it's been really cool. I went out so Gary had a conference called VCon, and I went out there. It was like a big Web3 NFT conference, crypto stuff, and just a lot of like forward-thinking people. And so yeah, man, it's cool. And so what I was gonna say is we have a tiny presence compared to someone like you. Like the community you're gonna be able to build and bring together is gonna be amazing. And that's that alone, I think, will excite the hell out of you. And I'm super pumped for you.
Dude, I appreciate it. Love your energy, man. Appreciate it.
Well,
thank you.
Keep in touch.
Absolutely.
Questions, and I can send you some like things that
definitely will do.
Wrap my head around that stuff.
Will do. Yo, man, you have a great day.
Yo, dude, you too. I'll tag you when we post. It's probably like in a week or so.
I love it.
Thanks,
take it easy.
See you, TJ.
Bye.
See ya.